I wised up this time around. I've got my bag, I've got my cup of coffee. I didn't bring any water with me because, again, wasn't planning to be out this long. But here I am, who I am, and there it is. So I've been out for hours, driving around, taking photos, and the light on that plant is excellent. So here's what I've been doing. I just set my coffee down on the ground right here, and then that frees me up to take an image. Let's see here. Do I want it this low? And then can I manipulate the zoom? Yep, with my ring finger. And there we go. It looks pretty nice. You can't see that. I'll put it on the screen, or I won't because I'm lazy YouTuber. So that's nice. And which, did I photograph the right one? Let's see. And I put the microphone on the camera so that I can make little videos of the pretty bird sounds that we've got going on out here. Kind of like this. And so my idea is maybe I'll have that little clip and play the clip and then put the photo up, and maybe not have this vlog part. Maybe this will be a separate video. We'll see. We'll see if I ever post any of it, because that's how I go. And I'm seeing the utility for having my, I don't need to take that photo again. I already took it. Was there anything else I wanted to put? There was a shot a minute ago that I took nearby of some corn and in a field, and I took the one photo, and then I started to compose another one, and then I was like, no, I got it the first time. I don't need to second guess it. I don't need to think about it. I don't need to try to take another version of it. I took that photo, got what I wanted out of it, and that's that. Job's done. And I felt really good about that, because all the time when I'm out taking photos, I'm like, I gotta try this angle, and I gotta try that angle, and I gotta try this, and I gotta do that. And I took that shot, and I was just like, got it, done. And like, maybe that's because I'm like, this subject isn't that good, and I don't need to spend any more time on it. But I also, that's something that I'm trying to get a lot more comfortable with, is like, what do I want out of this image? And then once I've taken that shot, be like, bam, okay, let's do it, done. I've had the best success with that. I remember being on some shoot at like a restaurant or something, and they were like, here, get a photo of this. And then I was just like, snap. And they were like, you done? And I was like, yeah, I got it. And they were like, whoa. And I really liked that experience. And I want to cultivate more of that, of the just like, you know, I know that I have the skill to get the shot in like a second, and I don't need to take 50 different versions of it, because if there is only one version of it, that's the good version. You know, there's no like consideration, there's no like hemming and hawing and like sorting through the all the proofs and sort, you know, like going through, flipping through a bunch of different very similar images to try to find the one that is the, you know, the definitive version. I didn't think that this aperture f4 lens on the APS-C sensor was gonna get me much bokeh, but pretty good bokeh on that shot. So it's all a matter of, I mean, so here's what it was. There was one of these little plants, and there's plenty of room between where I'm focusing on that plant, which is, you know, like 4 feet from here, and then the tree line way back there, like 20 feet away. And so that was enough to get that background real creamy. And so, you know, that's a matter of physics and distance more than how wide the aperture is on the image. Oh, I kind of like that out of focus, but that's not quite the shot we're going for here. My what I wanted to go for here is that's too wide. Some trail photos of this nice little nature preserve that I stumbled across. And I'd like to reach out to the conservancy that runs these trails to see if they might have a few dollars for photos. I really doubt it. Like, you know, it seems like they're probably a non-profit just like scraping by. But you don't ask, you'll never know. And I would love to make a little money shooting a nature trail like this. Like, wouldn't that be a great way to make an income? And yeah, maybe YouTube or selling courses or, you know, whatever that stuff is. But I like client work. It makes sense for my brain. It's somebody else has monetary interest in this, like great photos of this trail could somehow help the organization that is in charge of this trail. And so, you know, it's a shorter path, certainly. Like I call them and I'm like, hey, you want these photos? Here, give me some money and you can use them. It's a lot shorter than building up a YouTube audience over years. And, you know, and I never get around to posting the videos. I'll shoot a video and I'll be like, this is great. Never put it up. Why? Post. Same issue as the photos. Is there's always like something that I feel like I need to do to make the video what I feel like it should be. And that involves some editing usually, especially when it comes to like, you know, superimposing an image over the feed here. And I just never get around to doing that. And, you know, and it is a matter of like, yeah, I got a lot of other stuff going on. I got kids. I gotta make money right now, so I gotta focus on my client work that I have and licensing the images that I've already shot. And one could argue, you know, if I spent less time out here shooting this trail, maybe I could be doing those things. But this is the fuel. This is the thing that's really exciting, that gives me the energy. The Shinrin-Yoku is what I'm doing right here. Forest bathing. And damn if it isn't beautiful. It's so nice out here in this. And I found this by accident. And I've talked many times about how, damn, that's overexposed and I hate it. Maybe if I hold the camera like this, that's not overexposed. It's just really bad lighting. Let's try to get it a little more dynamic here. How about this? Look better? I like that my glasses are a little sunglassy, because now I'm kind of like Casey Neistat, and I can look at myself in the frame instead of at the camera, looking at you. Hey, how you doing? It's just like the light is so nice. It's the right time of day for the couple of photos that I want to take here. Let me be silent for a moment and shoot a video. We're gonna see how shaky those end up being. I have faith in the IBIS on the XH2, but as you could see, I was holding it with one hand. And I'm not gonna fret about it. I gotta stop being the stickler that puts everything in the round file. Round file's trash, because it doesn't measure up to like this idea of perfection that I have in my head. I was listening to an episode of Noah Kalina's, I like that. I love this camera. This is the Fuji XH2. This is fantastic. That is amazing. I still want a GFX, but this is great. It's fantastic. Noah, Hotline Show. Let me finish this coffee so I can put it away. What was he talking about? Oh, I've lost the thread. sorry. I definitely forgot what I was going to talk about there. Perfection, yes. He says that he has aphantasia. Aphantasia is the inability to picture something clearly in your mind. Hyperphantasia is I can close my eyes and I am there. I can see it. It is real. So hyperphantasia would be like remembering the stick in detail, closing your eyes, and then describing the stick, seeing it in your mind. Describing it isn't the part of it, it's seeing it in your mind. And I would say I have something in the middle. I just have like regular Phantasia, which I imagine is like the, you know, the stock version that many have. But he talked about how having aphantasia, he thinks, helps him not put a barrier on the quality of his work. Because like, he'll look at this bush and he'll have like this vague gray outline of what the photo could be, right? And he takes the photo and he sees it and he's like, that looks awesome. That looks way better than the thing that I imagined. And the rest of us aren't like that. At least I'm not. I know that I have the opposite, where like I look at that bush and I think the problem might be that I have like I also have a vague picture of what I believe it could be. And I take it and I'm like, that's nice, but I think it could be better. And this might be different than that issue. That might be a comparing reality to fiction issue, and Jesus, if it isn't so overexposed. I understand that I'm not in the light here, but how about this? I talked about this in the last video that I was going to cut out all the segments where I complained about the iPhone, but that was a little too overexposed. Like, you gotta calm it down, iPhone. But I want my face to be exposed, so what can you do? What I can do is carry the rest of the equipment all the time. I guess I needed to do that. I think the issue that I have is that I look at the photo and I'm like, I know it could be better. I believe that it could be better, right? And I was talking to my neighbor about this, right? Who's seen my photos. And that's what I said to him. I was like, but they could be so much better. And he was just like, how? How could they be better? And like, I'm like, well, you're not a photographer, man. Like, you don't understand. But that's the point. He's not the photographer. He's not a photographer, and he's not me. You know, he's not the harshest critique of my work, right? That's always me. That's you, the artist. You are the person who will always be like, it's not good enough. And if you can get over that, the thing that I need to get over, you know, the belief that the work is not good enough as it is. I can't get this in focus with this setup, so I'm gonna put you down here. And we're gonna run manual, expose, and there it is. Oh, and it really isn't that good of a photo, so. I don't love the manual override on here, where like, here, we'll get those two in the frame. So the way it's in autofocus continuous, and I have to press the shutter down halfway and then start spinning the focus ring. It's not what I want. I want it to be like my Canon lenses, where I can press the button and it will autofocus, or I can spin the wheel and yeah, and it's all right, I guess. But even if I set it to back button focus, which is how I actually haven't been doing that much with this camera. I've been doing the shutter, easy mode. But even if I set it to back button focus, I still have to hold that halfway if I'm gonna tweak the manual focus. And I don't like having to hold the shutter down halfway while I'm adjusting that manual focus. I just want to spin the manual ring, and that be that. And I'm sure there could be some firmware fix for that, but I'm not gonna go asking Fuji for it. Not unless I get to some level of importance in their Fuji shooter hierarchy, which ain't gonna happen. Well, It might, you never know. Never's never, right? Look how beautiful this is. It doesn't look beautiful on the iPhone, I can tell you that. Like, it looks nice, right? But I'm telling you, in real life, on the Fuji, it looks great. Let's get a little video. I'll show you what I mean. It's too tight. Do you want to zoom out? Do you want to crouch? Yeah, a little bit of both. I thought I heard something. There is a lot of air traffic here, so you can hear in almost every shot that I've made, I've heard a little bit of like there's a jet, you know, higher up in the atmosphere, like a passenger liner, you know, what is it, 30,000 feet, and then there are some little personal aircraft, you know, like a Cessna or something. And I like the little Cessnas. It makes me think about Kiki's Delivery Service. And how that's, you know, set in that like little Swedish town that's in the like the dawn of the era of flight, and I don't remember the dude's name. The boy who's really into flight in the book. I feel like his name starts with a T. But anyway, seeing the little planes overhead, it gives me that. It gives me sort of nostalgia. It makes me think about you know, the wonders of the early days of flight, rather than like annoyance that there's like a little diesel engine right above my head. Like, it doesn't bother me. But I don't like hearing the jet as much. But, you know, I'm complaining and it's totally silent right now. So, shall we listen for a minute? I'm not seeing the audio levels on the screen, so let's, no, I'm not going to switch to movie mode. All right, I know. We'll click, we'll begin the recording, and then I'll press display. Oh, can't alter the display once you're recording. Okay. I have mixed feelings about the CF Express B card that I've got in here. But it is half a terabyte, and like, so I haven't been as like rushed to dump my card as frequently as I probably should, as I used to. But that's kind of nice, not having to worry about running out of capacity. There's still Mondo room for both video and photos on here, and I also have 128 gig SD card in there. So Mondo space for what I'm doing out here. And did I have it set to 4K 60? We're gonna change that. Can't change it now, because if I put these videos together, I don't want the frame rates to be different. I might want to see comparison of if I want to shoot at 4K, because I think here's a little chat about the video features. On the video mode, you can shoot either, so I can shoot 4K 60 frames a second, or I can shoot 4K with 8K oversampling at 30 frames a second. So how much different do they look? Well, we can compare that right here, right now, yes? All right, let's head right back. I'll bet it eats a lot more data. How much different or better does it look? Getting back to, does it really matter? And like, given that most of this stuff, if I use these videos, they will end up on YouTube. And that like, I'm forcing myself to be okay with the quality of the iPhone, which was nowhere near either of the modes on this, right? But doesn't mean I can't strive for quality, right? Let's bring it back. I can strive for quality. I can have all the taste in the world. I can have the desire, but I can't let it stop me from sharing the work as it is right now. And that is the thing that I do all the time. I tell myself the work is not good enough as it is, and then the work sits on a hard drive forever. And nope, I took one and done. Walk away. And this is the thing that the Fuji and its film simulations has helped freed me of. I've been shooting since I was a teenager. For most of my professional career, I've been using Lightroom, and the pattern has been shoot a raw photo, go edit it. And this is it's the magic we have now, right? That we can do so much manipulation with an image. That's underexposed. I'm looking at this tree right here. I think it's really pretty. I've been doing lots of tree photography. Am I getting it in frame here? It's this one? Yeah. God, it looks awful on the iPhone. My apologies. It has been exciting to have a new, better tool. I brought my camera bag with me this time so that I would have my spare battery, and it just occurred to me spare batteries on the charger at my desk. So like I said last time, I'm gonna need 3 batteries, one in the camera, one in the bag, one on the charger. But again, I don't mind shooting until the battery dies here. And I'm so excited to be shooting right now. I love the fall. Oh, so my workflow used to be, oh no, let me roll it back. When I really got into photography in a more serious way than my first camera was like point and shoot, and so I did point and shoot stuff. But I remember learning from YouTube from a French photographer named Serge Remeli, who was all about punching the hell out of his photos in Lightroom. He loved this super extreme HDR look that was way over the top. It was too much. But he did nice Lightroom tutorials. I learned a lot from him. He had a master class where he talked about business. He talked about going out there and asking for the work. He's going to people and being like, I'll shoot your hotel, I'll make beautiful photos, give me a shot, and that's really important when it comes to doing commercial photography, is the, selling yourself, the hey, I can do this job. You let me take a crack at it and you'll see. And, like I said, that's very important for getting the work. And that's the most of what you need to do, is you need to go and be like, I can do this. It helps to have stuff to convince people. I believe you need a portfolio. I believe you do need to be capable of it. But walking into a place and being like, I got this, people will be like, he said he's got it, I guess he's got it, That's how simple it is. And if you want to work as a photographer, that's what you do. I spend a lot of time hemming and hawing and feel like I need to prove it, and this is the problem that it goes back to. I still feel like I need to prove it. I'm a very experienced photographer. I've been shooting professionally for 10 years. I was a hobbyist for 5 years before that. I have an immense amount of experience, and I'm still like, I got to put a few more photos up on my website before I can ask somebody for a job, you know. And it's foolish, and it's the thing, the insecurity deep inside that holds me back. Like, I don't need to show somebody a single new photo to do any work for anyone. Like, if the biggest company in the world came to me tomorrow, I could just show them my portfolio as it is and guaranteed it's good enough, you know. And so yeah, that goes back to sharing my images. Like, yeah, maybe there's something I'd like for them, like, to be different or better about them, but the fact is, those things don't have to be right now, this second, right? Like, in the moment that I just took that photo, I used all of the skills that I have to make that image. And could I have spent more time on it and made it like this much better? Yes. You know, and there are different ways to produce work, you know. Like, there's the super slow, put it on a tripod, take your time, really think about it, the composition, and you should do that. That's excellent. But walking around and taking the photo as it occurs to you, as it forms before your eyes, is something that really works for me. And it's a lot more like street photography than the landscape or architecture. And I do sincerely believe that shooting quantity will get you to quality. And while there are times that you should be like, okay, there's something magical here and I need to spend a few extra minutes on it, there are other times where just like going and making more and more and more images will refine the way that you see. And studying the work of artists and like the people that inspire you also helps. But just like, there's the famous pottery experiment where there are two groups. Group one, they're like, you got to make the best pot that you can possibly make. Like, you do put all of your effort into making it immaculate. And then group two, they were like, make as many pots. Just make as many pots as you can make. And by a landslide, group two made the best pots, because they didn't like hem and haw and try to get it perfect in the beginning. What they did is they just iterated and worked and worked and worked and worked at it, and they got better every time. And so, like, trying to squeeze so much out of it in the beginning isn't what's gonna make you phenomenal. It's doing it and over and over and over again. Like, because it's kind of like your brain needs the repetition. It needs the time to build the grooves in, right? So that's how your brain works, right? Like, your neurons weave together as you use a pathway more. It's just like a river, right? It's like this path, right? Like, this path has been carved through the land, not all at one time, but by people walking over it again and again and again and again. There's the Sunken Trace, so the Natchez Trace Parkway in Mississippi. There's this part called the Sunken Trace where, like, the land is really deep, this path that people walked. And maybe them walking it isn't what ran it all the way down. Like, maybe it eroded from water, but it's the same thing, because the glacier cuts out the valley, right? And I should have taken a video of that tree. Oh, well. Nope, I'm gonna go back for it. Your brain works by building those grooves, by connecting the neurons, that it's like, here's a pathway we're using, and we're using it again and again and again, and we're gonna reinforce this the myelin. The myelin is the stuff that wraps around the neuron that makes the pathway faster. And so it's like, you start and it's like, let's build a little path here, and then you do it again and they're like, oh, we're using this path, let's smooth it out, let's make it a little faster, let's, you know, do what we can, and we keep building and building and building on it until it goes at light speed. And it's through the repetition that you get there, right? And so, this is another piece of advice that my friend Moyes gave me, which was be prolific. Just make an immense amount of work. And it is the right advice. And it is what I do. Like, I go out and I make thousands upon thousands upon thousands of images. But I don't share very many of them. And that's okay too. You know, nobody says I have to be like throwing my images out in people's face all the time. It could be the kind of thing where I want to quietly iterate on my own until I feel like I've made something amazing. But like Sean West said, people don't notice announcements. They notice consistency. And so no single photo has to be your one masterpiece. And this is the same for any art, anything you do. Like, you don't put all of the eggs in one basket. You keep putting your work out there, and the average of your work is what people experience. And ideally, you have some high points, some things that are like really amazing. But it's okay if those things just kind of happen, right? Like, you don't have to believe that you're the genius that is making it happen. The lady that wrote Eat, Pray, Love talked about having a really, we'll say viral, really popular piece of work early on in her career. And it's like, okay, will I ever produce something that amazing again? And, you know, you have to believe that you might, or that it doesn't matter if you do. But she talked about how people get this idea that like, oh, I made this thing, so I am amazing. Like, I am a genius. But she thinks that you are not yourself a genius, but you have a genius. A genius comes to you and gives you the ideas. And is like, here, this is amazing, use this. Where like, you're not just you, right? Like this, we're gonna get into Buddhist religion here. You aren't just, like I'm not Nick, right? I am everything. Everything that is, you are. That I don't exist if this forest doesn't exist. I don't exist if this universe doesn't exist exactly as it is in this exact moment. And so I am a part of everything that is happening everywhere all at once. And trying to separate yourself into I am this one thing that is amazing is a folly. And it's wrong. Because the truth is that you're just a tiny part of this big cosmic happening. And yes, you are it. You are all of it. But your little human mind is only capable of exploring it in this narrow context, right? I look out of my eyes and I hear out of my ears and I talk out of my mouth and I can only feel this far, right? I can't feel that tree yet. And now I can. And that's the extent of how much I can feel with this form that I am using to experience this reality. And you have to know that that's not all there is to it. There's so much more to what the universe is and that you are a part of. And you just let it flow through you. You just sit back and be one with the universe. It's, the Christianity system is the same of like, let Jesus take the wheel, or like, let God ride it. Like, you still need to do some stuff. Like, I'm still using the camera. I still am out here making the decision to come on this walk and take these photos. And I have learned how to operate the camera, and I have explored the settings and the things like that. Like I've learned the technical stuff. And now I am letting the foundations of my being, there's a spider web right here in front of me that I'm just going to shoot around. You already know everything you need to know. It's already within you to be who you are, who you already are, right? Oh, and there's a shadow carving right down there that I don't want. I already know everything that I need to know. I already am the person that I am. I see the way that I see, I think the way that I think, and I just need to bring that out here and use it, right? And all of the experiences that I've had in my life, all of the things that I've seen and thought and studied and done for fun inform how I see and what I see. And in this particular case, in this forest, I played Magic the Gathering as a youth, and I played green a lot. And a big part of the reason I played green is because I like the forest cards. I like the forest lands and the artwork of the forests. And this forest has got those vibes. It is like there are definitely some like 5th edition lands where the trees look just like this. And there were some 4th edition lands where they were like these oak trees with a little like hole in it and some little eyes peeking out of it. And there's a tree that I drive past every day that reminds me of that. And how many people are out here on this trail right now, in this fall with this beautiful, beautiful fall weather, taking this photo with my history? No one. There is no one else here. Like, I am the only person taking this photo of this forest right now. And whichever photo I choose to make, that's the only one that's ever gonna get made of this forest right now. I think a lot about, I'm so used to it, right? I'm so used to the forest that I'm like, well, you know, everybody's seen this already. Everybody's seen everything that I'm seeing here. And they could come here and they could look at it. They could. They absolutely will not. Nobody I know, not a single person I know, will ever come to this forest unless I bring them here. And that's like almost a guarantee. Maybe some of the people that live around here, right? Like some of the people that live around here have been here. But I guarantee you it's like 1% of the people that live around here who come to see this place. And so any photo I take is going to be an excellent representation of this thing that the viewer has never experienced, right? Like they may have experienced something like it. They may have been in a beautiful forest. It might not be the most beautiful forest photo that they've ever seen, and I almost guarantee they're not. But they are still excellent and beautiful, right? And if they have some meaning to that person, then the job has been done. But like, get down to like, what is the objective of the image, and like what draws people to a photo? It's their own story, you know. Like I've studied a lot of like, how do you sell prints to people, right? And like what causes them to want to buy a print. And the personal connection is kind of the most important part. It needs to mean something to them. And I'm almost not going to take this photo, but I'm going to do it because I was just talking about just doing it. It needs to mean something to them. And it could mean something to who knows what this could mean to whichever viewer, right? For some people, it could just be like, that's a beautiful forest. It reminds me of playing in the woods. It reminds me of my childhood. For some people who've played Magic and played 4th and 5th edition, they could be like, oh, that reminds me of that. They could remind them of the exact same thing that it did for me. And, there's an element of Lord of the Rings that I really like, that draws me to the forest scenes. So people that like that might like the forest photos, but the thing that it's most going to connect with is people who have experienced something very similar to this. Like, especially people that have lived here or do live here. Then people who have been to this trail. It's the person that might love it the most is the person who has walked this trail and didn't get a photo as good. That's what one photographer who sells prints was talking about. That, like, if you have photos of an idyllic location, like a place that tourists go, and you've got a better photo than that person took on their trip, and they want that memento, they'll have, their little shitty photo they took on their iPhone, but you, with all of the experience and all of the intention that you've put into your art, can create an image that is much better, even if it isn't the world-class masterpiece, right? And, like, if you don't make it available to them, if you do not put it out there, they will not know that they could have it, right? And, like, people like for you to package something for them and make it very easy. Where, like, people, like, have a camera with them all the time, right? And they've taken photos that they love. But do they print them? Sometimes, maybe. But you could take a photo that's almost identical to the photo they took. But if you already have a print of it and you're just like, give me some dollars and I'll give it to you, they'll be like, yeah, that sounds good. I'll take it. And so there's a lot of mental obstacles that, I could say most artists, but I should just talk about myself. That for me, I have trouble seeing that picture and accepting it. And being like, yeah, people will actually spend money on a print of a photograph that I made that I don't think is good enough. And it's like, what's the point of telling myself that lie? Is it just down to fear? Is it that common fear of, like, at the most base level, like, they'll see it and they won't like it and I won't be enough and I won't be loved? Because that is the base fear at the base of everything, right? Is like, they will look at the thing that I have done that is weird and they'll be like, you're weird and we're kicking you out of the tribe and you're gonna die in the wilderness. Like, that's what the stupid little monkey brain thinks, right? I mean, that's my understanding from psychology. And that is the base of all of our fears, is that I will be excluded from the group and that will lead to my death. And that shit ain't gonna happen. Like, we do not live in that world anymore. And little stupid monkey brain doesn't understand that. And, but little stupid monkey brain is at the controls all the time. Because it's like, I'm keeping you alive, idiot. And that is kind of the most important thing. Like, that's fair. But it's never gonna get you the life that you dream of. Like, it's never gonna let you be the person you want to be, do the things you want to do, live the life that you dream of. That little thing in the back of the mind that just wants to keep you alive is too scared to do any of it. And it is going to hold you back until you master it. And it is the most important thing you can do, is understand that that thing doesn't get to make the decisions. It does in a life or death situation. Like, the bear pops up right there. I got to start focusing on staying alive. But again, that's not our world anymore. Like, most of the world has been fairly tamed. Don't get hit by a car walking on the street. That part's not tamed. That's real dangerous. But it is not that hard to stay alive. And the things that your mind thinks are going to be the death of you absolutely will not be. And one must meditate on this. One must ingrain this. I am saying it as if I have done it, as if I am some expert. I have not. I struggle with it every day, and it is only through this talk that it is kind of like that I'm trying to turn the gears to make it not do that anymore. And so that comes back to sharing the work and putting it out there and being confident about, like, yes, there is part of me that is still like, is it a waste of time for me to list prints for sale if they will never sell? And maybe, I mean, but I can't proceed that way. I have to go in there with the mindset that I will put this out into the universe because I will make it happen. Because the universe is there to make a beautiful life for me. Like, we didn't come here to suffer. Like, we, God, the creature that we all are together, created all these little individual versions to experience this, to experience reality. And it wasn't so we could be miserable. It was so we could enjoy the amazing grandeur of what is, right? It is so we can be here and revel in how amazing it is, because it is. It is amazing. And the experience can be as magical and wonderful and incredible as you allow it to be. We have all the tools to be happy. We have all the tools to build the life that we want. But we have some programming, because of the path that it took to get here, that gets in the way. And we need to undo that programming so that we can experience something else. And that is the thing that I am trying to do. I'm having this camera that shortens the effort that goes into releasing my photos, lowers the barriers, and lets me remind myself that the image is not good because I spent hours on it in Lightroom or Photoshop, right? The image is not good because I put a ton of effort into it. The image does not resonate with the person that is looking at it because I did post-production on it. The image resonates with the person because it speaks to something inside of them. And how effectively it tells that message as a factor of how I shot it, there's something to that. But the process is not important for them. They might be interested in it after they see the image, after they connect with it, after it means something to them. But the image connecting with communication, that's what the image does. It communicates, right? It tells a story in an instant. The saying, the picture is worth 1,000 words, right? And there's nothing else that communicates so effectively, so quickly. But the difference between like a photo and video is that the image communicates its message in like a fraction of a second. And that's generally the extent of what it has to communicate. You look at it and you feel something. And some people feel more, some people feel nothing. And that is because of their experience and their connection to what's in front of them. And you can't expect it to connect with everyone. And you can't expect it to connect in the same way with everyone. Some people it will be very meaningful to and will really matter, and some people won't give a shit. And you can't reach all of them, and it doesn't matter, and you don't need to try. You just want to reach the people that will care about it. And the fact is that there are enough people that some will. And making it available for them to care about, that's your mission. That's the job. So, how does this camera help me get where I want to go? Like I said, I fret too much about editing the image, and I need to shorten that process down to as much of nothing as possible, right? Yes, I was able to take some photos that looked amazing straight out of the back of my Canon camera. But I always looked at the photo and I was like, I want to change this and I want to change that. And that's the other thing that maybe I just needed to let go of. But with this, having so much control over how the image is produced and looks before I even press the shutter is amazing. And yeah, maybe no, it was better standing up. Maybe there is still more that I would change if I went and ran it through Lightroom or Capture One or whatever and felt like I needed to do some more edits to it. But I'm doing my best to fiddle with the film simulations, fiddle with the options available to me, and take a shot where I'm just like, this is pretty enough just as it is. And I feel like I've had a lot of success with that. Of setting up the camera the way that I want, taking the shot and being like, that looks gorgeous. And then kind of forgetting about it for a bit. And then later I sync the camera with my phone. The photos go straight to it. They're done. And then I can just be like, all right, there's these 5 photos. That's the pretty one. All right, share that. And last night I went through and shared a bunch of photos from the few weeks that I've had this camera. And they were all great. I think they all looked fantastic. And like, sure, would I have wanted to fiddle with them more if I had, at no point have I viewed these on a large monitor. That is maybe something revelatory about this, because when you look at them that big, that's when you start to see all the imperfections. That's when you start to worry about it. That's when you start to zoom in a whole lot. And a lot of these photos, I've only seen them on the back of the camera, a 3-inch screen, and on the iPhone, a 6-inch screen. And at that scale, they all look fantastic. They look amazing. And it works. So it's very well suited to our world right now. To like, this is an image that looks great on a display. And I know that it does. And I'm not like at the same time being like, but it's also got to look great at 6 feet across, you know? And maybe it does. But if the objective is to just share some beautiful images online, like, this helps me accomplish that with no barriers. And that's a really nice experience that I wish I had gotten that bird. And what was really nice is I shared all those photos, and a photographer friend of mine, thanks Seth, said every one of them was gorgeous. He was like, these are all amazing, like fantastic work. And that feels really nice, you know? And sure, you know, you don't want to do it for the praise, but the praise is real nice. Praise is real nice when you get it. And, you know, because you want to connect with people. You want to believe that what you're doing is helpful. And it can be really hard when you're making art to be like, is this doing anything for the world? Like, who is this helping? What difference does this make? Is it worth it? You know, like, and there's a thing about how like our interconnectedness to the world through this medium, this device, has us feeling that we need to have a global impact, that we need to do something of immense importance that matters, because we idolize the titans of the world, thinking that is what we need to be, when it's just not true. It's like, you can have a profound impact on just a few people, and that can change the course of the world, right? And it's okay for you to focus on just doing something wonderful for some people. Some people. Not everyone. Not the entire planet. You couldn't affect everyone on the planet unless you did something awful, nuclear winter. Then you've made it awful for everyone on the planet, right? There are so many photographers and so many people putting out amazing work that it's really easy to feel like what you're doing is just noise, and it just doesn't matter. Like, who could care about my work when there's so much other beautiful work out there? But then that's where I come back to, my work is unique. Your work is unique. Supposing you're, whatever you do, you're an artist, not an artist. You're an artist in one way. We're all creative in our own ways in whatever we do. You are the only person who is you, doing what you are doing in your way. No one else ever will. No one else ever has. And so, whatever you do, that's great, Because, like I was saying earlier, no one else is going to take that photo right now. No one. Somebody might make a similar photo. It's never going to be exactly the same. And your being here and existing and being unique in this time right now is all that is asked of you. All the universe wants is for you to be uniquely you. And you don't have to do anything to do that. You already are that. So just be you. And be proud of being that, because that's all we're asking. And so therein lies the danger of, what was it? I don't know, I got too lost in this beautiful scene. Just being yourself. That's all the universe needs of you. I don't know, you talk for an hour, you start to lose the script after a while. I want to go back to how fortunate I am. And this can go back actually to the universe and the genius and God and all of it. Because this is where a lot of religious minds would go when I talk about this. We moved here, not exactly on a whim, but there wasn't an immense amount of thought that went into exactly where we lived. Like, the criteria was small. It was, we lived in upstate New York, absolutely loved it. Gorgeous, beautiful, amazing. Didn't want to leave, but lonely, needed help, had young children, wanted to have another child. Wasn't going to happen up there. Needed support. So we were like, let's move closer to my wife's family, who lives in New Jersey. They live in central Jersey, and they live a central Jersey life. Their life is in New Jersey. Regina and I are from New York City, our, like, I'm not going to say our life is in New York City, but that we are very connected to New York. And at the time, I was still going to New York like once or twice a week for photo projects. And so criteria was we can live as close to them as we can get while also being on the train line to New York City. And that was kind of it. I was like, we can live in Mercer County, close to the train. And after years and years of Regina trying to get me to move to New Jersey, that was the criteria that got us here. And I have really missed the Hudson Valley in the time that we've been here. But a big part of that is that I haven't gotten out to explore that much of the nature that this place has to offer. I guess mostly we were like going to our house, driving the little highway around Trenton, and getting on the train, going to the city, and going to the strip malls, to go to the shops, and like, yeah, it's not my dream, right? And yeah, I look on a map and there aren't any huge mountain trails to walk. But I get out and explore a little bit more. Some days after I drop the kids off at school, I take a meandering roundabout path to get back to the house. And sometimes I make a new turn and I explore a new area just a little bit. And it's days like today and where I find this is, I love this. I love this. This is amazing. This is like my favorite place that I've been in a long time. And check out this wooden bridge. I don't think this photo is very good, but going back to who else is taking this photo, I should have brought the lens hood. Let's hold the camera right up here. Oh, no, that's not gonna work. I'm gonna try to block the sun that's glaring on my phone. My camera, but there we go. I'll use the iPhone to block that and not get the camera in the frame, and yeah, that radically increases the contrast. The lens hood. I need to keep the lens hood in my bag. I didn't use lens hoods much with my previous cameras, but it's very useful out here because my tendency is like just block it with my hand, but obviously my hand is occupied with the phone. And until I can have a little camera that floats around me, like it's a comic book I read once where a guy had a little floating sentient camera AI thing. That tree is beautiful, but I don't really see a photo there. Didn't know that there was anything like this here when we moved here. Didn't know that there was immense support for children with special needs, which our son has. Just knew that there was a train, we'd get to New York City, and that it was fairly nice. But as I get out and explore, there is wondrous nature to behold, and I am thrilled to be here and be a part of it. No. Because it's overexposed? Yes, that's not singing to me. So, this has been a wonderful discovery, this nature preserve, and I almost didn't walk down here. I had already spent time meandering the back roads, driving around, taking some photos, and I pulled over just so I could look at something. I pulled over so I could send a friend a camera recommendation. A friend of mine wanted to get into macro photography. Photographer that I follow on Instagram, Geet Arrow, who's this funny like Estonian dude who kind of acts like Mr. Bean. He rules. Took a macro photo with a little point and shoot camera that I thought was some sort of relic because he shoots on a lot of old stuff, but it turned out to be like a Pentax WR8, a little waterproof camera. It's made by Ricoh, and excellent macro photo. from this little point and shoot camera. And so I was like, oh, I should tell my friend about that because he wanted to get into macro photography. And it got me kind of considering it. That's kind of cool because I do want a little Ricoh pocket camera. At least I like the idea of it. Here's one where I kind of want to change the film simulation. So I'm going to set you all the way down here on the ground in the leaves. I'm going to go for the Hector. No. Nope. That's what I like. And what I like is Velvia. At least for these scenes. And I just took that photo twice. I'm trying to talk myself out of it. I gotta stop doing that. That's what I'm taking a photo of. It's these little, I think these are like tree protectors or seedlings or something. I've seen these before and I think that's what they are. To keep the baddies from eating them. The leaves are falling and it's choppy, so 4K 60 it is. I might have to edit out that part where I bumped the camera. But I used this part of my arm to stabilize the lens there. So, we found this place pretty much on accident, is what I'm saying. That like, we just picked a place and we're like, that's where we're gonna go. It solves the immediate problems that we have. And then it turned out that it solved a ton more problems. And we found such amazing things here. And this is close to Hopewell. This is part of the Hopewell Valley, Friends of the Hopewell Valley, the Alliance, whatever. And so I've come across a couple of preserves that are really nice, but I really love this one. And what's nice is that it's not as rugged as the one that I went on the other day. Not the other day, but a while back with Regina, where it was too bushwhacky for her. This one's got nice broad paths. It's a very appealing path. And I'm thrilled that I'm the only person here. There was one other car parked in the parking lot. Wherever that person is, I have not seen them. And granted, it's like noon on a Wednesday. But I can't imagine that it gets super busy on the weekends or something either. And so there's this back to like, oh, do I show photos of this place and try to help them promote it? And it's like, well, it'd be nice to keep it to myself too, but I don't need to. It can be, I want to share with the world and not selfish. Because, like I said earlier, I am just one little part of this world. And it is my job to just be that one little part of it. To be my one little unique me, experiencing the world in this unique way that I have. And that's great. That's a great thing to be. Back on the subject of my bag, I'm going to have to start carrying my other microphone and my other gimbal, because if I find myself in this situation again, I do not want the audio to be as bad as it is, as I know it is on this. Because, like I said, I'm a stickler for the quality. I do want it to be good as I can make it without a ton of effort. And keeping a microphone in my bag, it's a pretty low bar. That doesn't require me to do any post, and that's the biggest thing. Not wanting to do any post production. I've held the camera really low for most of this shooting because it is easier. What was I going to say about that? Oh, no, that was awful. I've kept all of the little video clips that I filmed, like I was doing just then, till around like 10 to 15 seconds. And I wonder if I will regret not making them longer when we get back. Oh, I was gonna go look at these little things to try to get some answers. I'm pretty sure I see a little tree in there. This one in particular. Maybe it's just leaves in there. Let's have a look. I see a little stick. I think it's a leaf with a little tree with no leaves. That's yeah. Looks like a little tree. I'm gonna stick with that, with my assumption, if that's what it is. These are to keep the critters from eating the tender little things. And I wonder when they take them off, like how big they probably leave them there for a long time. I should. I've got a little eastern white cedar growing in my yard that I put a bunch of rocks around to protect. It's not a very good photo. Nope. Trash. Shouldn't even touch the shutter. And it's nice to know that too. It's nice to look at something and just be like, yeah, it's not it. Don't take it. I have thought about how shooting film could be helpful for reducing my shutter count, for taking fewer photos and being more intentional and making each of those good. But I also try to trust myself and be like, I know when to not take a photo. But I'm not going to delete that one right now. I'm gonna let it stay. I'm gonna look at it again later, and maybe there's some part of me that knows that it's better than I thought it was. All right, I think I probably need to turn around about now because I gotta go to the bathroom real bad, and I'm gonna have quite a walk back to the car. And I didn't record the walk on my watch, and because I haven't been active enough, it didn't pick it up. Darn you, watch. Bummer. But I can record the walk back, and there's that. I do love having the walk. Like, even if it doesn't track in an intense activity, I like to have a little map of what I did, And again, we just kind of got out of the car and got started on this. Wasn't thinking about it. Wasn't planning to go that far. But you'd think I'd know who I am by now. But maybe you don't ever really know who you are, because maybe you are too much more than you ever thought. I'll get that tree right in the middle there. Video. No, I'm down into critical red battery mode. Let me not shoot any more video clips. All right, I've talked for a long time, covered a lot of subjects. It is my intention to not edit this video at all. I want to pull some clips out. There's some stuff that I think would make good like, shorts for YouTube and TikTok and stuff. But I'm gonna say goodbye, and I'm just gonna upload this to YouTube and do not touch it at all, because that's what I got to do to move forward. So if this video is up on YouTube and you watched it and you watched it all the way to the end, like, that's amazing. It's amazing that you watched this and heard me ramble and listen to my thoughts. And I want to know what resonated with you. Like, what did I say here that really connected with you? What did I say that mattered? And I'll put up a print and I'll put it in the description. And if you want it, you can buy it. And so, like, subscribe, buy a print, tell me what connected with you in a comment. I really want to talk to you. I really want to connect with people. This is fun. This is amazing, being out here on the own. I'm happy talking to the camera. I'm happy taking the photos. I would love to connect with some other humans about the imagery, about the art, about the work, about the universe, about God, about like what we're all doing here. Let's talk about being in the comments. Bye.